Welcome! In this video we're going to review some note values and rest values. This is a full overview of notes I'd expect most intermediate students to know. Okay, we're going to start with a crotchet. I'm going to draw mine here. So that is called a crotchet. That's worth 1 beat. And then if we want to make smaller note values, we draw the same thing as a crotchet, but we add a tail like that to make a quaver. That's half. And then another one up here with 2 tails, that's a semiquaver. The semiquaver and the quaver, if they're beside another one, they can be grouped together like that or like that. For your semiquaver, demi-semiquaver, you can keep going like that. So they either have a beam or a tail if they're on their own. Next up we have no coloring in the middle, and that's a minim. And then we have a dotted minim. That's 3 beats. And a semi-breve, that's 4. Now when we're starting out, we often learn this as just a dotted minim is 3 beats. But what's the dot actually doing? It's adding half the value of the note again. So if we add a dot to a crotchet instead of adding it to a minim, a crotchet is 1. Half of 1 is a half, so that's 1 1/2, and it's just called a dotted crotchet. If we added 1 to a quaver is a half. Half of a half is a quarter, so this is 3 quarters. If we added a dot to a semibreve is 4. Half of 4 is 2, so this is 6. Now, most of the time so far you will have been thinking about halves and quarters, but we can also split things into 3. So for example, a quaver, we have 3 of them together and we just put a little 3 up here. That's a quaver triplet. And instead of each of these being a half, they're each a third. Or you can think about it as all together, they're the same as a crotchet. Our rests then match our notes. So for our quaver rest, it looks like that. If we want to make it a semiquaver rest, we have 2 of those little guys on the side. The crotchet rest is normally the hardest for most people to draw. That's the squiggly one. And then we have a minim rest and a semibreve rest. These can be confusing. So your minimum rest is 2 beats. Your semibreve rest is a whole bar. So if you're in 6/8, that is still a whole bar. If you're in 4/4, it's a whole bar. It doesn't matter what your time signature is, that takes up a whole bar. Which means that when we're in 2/4, this cannot be used because the whole bar is 2 beats. So that takes up the whole bar. That's a quick overview of some different note values. Spend some time reviewing those, especially if any of them were a little bit fuzzy.